Three roughnecks were working up in the derrick, Cooter, Lonnie, and Donnie. As they started their descent, Cooter slips and falls down the derrick and is killed instantly. As the ambulance takes the body away, Lonnie says someone should go tell his wife. Donnie says, I'll do it. Roughnecks are pretty good at the sensitive stuff. 2 hours later, he comes back carrying a case of Budweiser. Lonnie says, where'd you get that from? And he says, well, Cooter's wife gave it to me. That's unbelievable. You go tell the lady her husband's dead and you get a case of beer. He said, well, not exactly. When you came to the door, I said, you must be Cooter's widow. She said, well, I'm not a widow. He said, well, I'll bet you a case of beer you are.
Today we're going to talk about the first oil in Angola, Angola's independence, the Civil War and how it affected oil in Angola, oil production, and the future of oil in Angola.
First historic account of petroleum in Angola came from the discovery of oil seeps and asphalt deposits found by Portuguese colonialists. These deposits and seeps were found at Libangos in the late 1700s. The petroleum that was mined here was shipped to Lisbon and Rio de Janeiro. It was used as caulking material to prevent water leakage into their ships. Libangos is located within half a kilometer of Precambrian granite outcrops, which happens to be on the eastern edge of the Kwanza Basin. Moving on to Angola's independence in 1975 from Portugal, different movements started fighting to determine who would lead the country. This set the country into a civil war that would last for 27 years. There were three groups, the first of which was the Popular Movement for the Liberation of Angola. The second was the National Libertarian Front of Angola. And the third was the National Union for the Total Independence of Angola, or UNITA. In the end, the MPLA, or the Movement for the Liberation of Angola, backed by the Soviet Union, came out victorious. However, during the Civil War, a lot of the roads and bridges were destroyed. This made it hard to drill for oil on land, so companies switched their attention to offshore drilling. As a result of the Civil War, Angola is stricken with poverty to this day. There has not been much improvement in Angola to help its poverty. Approximately 70% of the nation is in poverty. And according to BBC News, many Angolans credit the president Jose Eduardo dos Santos for leading the country to recovery after the end of its 27-year civil war in 2002, and for turning the country's formerly socialist economy into one of the world's fastest growing, mainly on the back of Angola's prodigious oil wealth. Moving to the oil production, when the oil industry truly began, when Petrofina discovered large oil reserves in the Kwanza Valley in 1955. From there, a refinery was constructed at Luanda to process Petrofina's oil. It wasn't until 1973 that oil became Angola's chief export, and bountiful subsequent discoveries made the Cabinda and ensured the industry for decades to come. As for the future of oil in Angola, Senegal plans to further reduce flaring by installing a gas condensate facility to produce liquefied petroleum gas, which should be operational in the year 2015. The project began in 2005 and is operational and capable of processing 100,000 barrels of oil per day, condensate and liquefied petroleum gas. The project significantly reduced the need for gas flaring in Block 0 by way of reinjection and cut flaring by 50%, thereby reducing carbon dioxide emissions by more than 2 million tons per year. Companies including Chevron, Eni, Total, BP, and ExxonMobil have upcoming oil projects in Angola that will produce anywhere from 46,000 barrels per day to over 200,000. Angola's set goal for 2017 is 2 million barrels per day, which will put them ahead of Nigeria as the largest exporter in the sub-Saharan Africa. All right.
The first account of oil in Angola was from oil seeps in the 1700s. Angola gained its independence from Portugal in 1975. Soon after, the country fell into a bloody civil war. Jose Eduardo dos Santos has been the president of Angola since 1979 and is also in charge of the MPLA. Modern-day oil production began with Petrofina. In the future, Angola hopes to reduce flaring and outproduce Nigeria by 2017, with more than 2 million barrels of oil a day.